See, last year cutoff was about 40, 45 plus. But that is also one of the reasons was that the number of calls got reduced. The number of people getting the calls from 100 and about 1,100 odd came to about 980. That was one of the reasons. Second is there were about 4 or 5 bonus marks. So basically about 40, 42 plus whatever the bonus mark should be going up. Obviously, this also depends on the difficulty level of the paper. I'm giving a broad guideline, which is anything above 50% plus attempt with about 85% accuracy. This is a broad guideline. When the paper becomes easier, of course, naturally the cutoff rises. So, we'll start the session in 5 minutes. Yeah. Prasad has a question, which section should be attended first? That's not really important. What is more important is the time that you allocate between each of the sections. If you ask me, I would probably start with GK and then move on to probably QA, DLR and put VA to the last. That is basically a personal preference. I don't think order is not that much important. What will be more important is how do you allocate time. Okay, we will start off the session. I hope I'm audible. Can you guys post yes or no or whatever? So I've got 3 years, 4. Okay. Thanks. So welcome to this session on IIFT. Today we'll be analyzing the IIFT 2009 paper. This is for the admission to 2010-12 program for the MBA IB program. While I'm specifically looking at the 2009 paper, my objective would be to give you a broad approach and see how those approaches can be applied to this specific paper. There was I will also try and solve some questions, probably give you approach in terms of how to handle DI, probably QA, maybe verbal section. So if I basically look at the IIFT paper, at least this one, so IIFT 2009 paper, it had 4 sections. Just hold on for a second. Yeah, I loaded the wrong paper. Constant. Yeah, okay. So if you look at the IIFT 2009 question paper, it basically had 4 sections. Section 1 was DILR, it had 34 questions. Section 2 was GK, which has 20 questions. Section 3 was Section 3 was QA, which has 28 questions, and Section 4 was divided into 2 parts, Part 1, Part 2. Part 1, 15 questions, they're from R3, and 25 questions are verbal ability. One of the things which is very one of the things which is very important with respect to the IIFT paper is to ensure that the 120 minutes that you have is allocated very religiously and systematically to these 4 sections. So if I were to give an analogy as to how well you can do it in IIFT paper, is that I believe that you have to take up 2-3 key roles. So let me put that here, or 3 caps that you have to wear. One I will call the cap of a CEO. Second, I will call the cap of a section manager. I will call him a section manager. And third, I will, to wear a cap of worker. Now, if you have, I don't know how many have attended the GP section, a session on IIFT. One thing that he says is that you have to spend about 10 minutes in the beginning just to have a look at the paper. Now, IIFT is known to those surprises. Now, you may have 6 sections, you may have 4 sections, you may have different kind of questions bundled together. But the first role is that of a CEO, whose basic role is to ensure that the right time is getting allocated in all these sections. So broadly, you will see there is a QA, there is DILR, there is verbal, and there is TK. Broadly, I would allocate 35, and about 10 minutes for TK. So that basically makes it 105 plus 10, 115. 5 minutes, probably keep it towards the end or in the beginning for the analysis. One of the roles that you have to take is to ensure that right kind of allotment is done having looked at the paper. The second role is, of course, when you get to a particular section, for example, I go to a section called DILR. It is important first to figure out, have a look at the paper, look at how many DI questions are there, how many LR are there, and have a broad sense of, okay, a game plan in terms of how we're going to attack the paper. So that is a cap that you have to wear. So his role is largely selection. And last, of course, is the worker. And the role of a worker is simply to ensure that you get 85% accuracy. So if you have to give a broad benchmark, 50% attempt with 85% accuracy will get you to about 40 marks. But now I know that, let's say, if you look at the last paper, last year's paper, the cutoff was more than 40, it was about 44, some extent to 48. But what you also should know that there was about 4 to 5 bonus marks. So long as you are in the range of about 42, 43, you are on the safe range cracking the IIFT paper. For this particular IIFT paper, which is 2009, the cutoff was 37.4. out of which 4 marks were bonus. So actual was about 33 marks is what you were thinking to attempt. Anyway, so the IIFT is on the 25th and there are only 3 days left. And I will not advise you to make any drastic changes to whatever strategy that you've decided. But if you feel through this section that there is some tweaking that you could do to your plan, then I would advise to go ahead and do it. Anyway, the order in which I'm going to go through section is section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. In the actual paper, maybe I'll follow different sections, but in my mind, what is more important is to ensure that I spend about 35 minutes each in the main section and about 10 minutes in GK. So let me quickly go to DI. So when you see DI, and it is often been told that DI is very calculation intensive. If you basically look at this particular paper, there are 19 questions on DI. Rest was logical reasoning. So 19 questions, there are about 4 sets. There are 2 approaches that you can essentially have in a data interpretation section. There are 2 approaches. So I have 4 sets of DI. I can have 2 approaches. Maybe I'll pick 2 sets and solve all questions. Approximately I can touch about 8 to 9 questions. Or the second is, I will look at all the 4 sets and then solve those questions that I can, which will be about 2 questions per set. Approximately 2 questions per set, making it 8 to 9 questions per set. Again, what I'm basically saying is that there are 2 approaches. One is either I'll pick just 2 sets, solve the 2 sets, solve all the questions in the two sets, or I can try and solve the easy questions on the sets. That decision is based on how interpretation intensive the DI sets are. What I mean is this, that there are two things. One is you will typically find I have to understand the data, and then I have to calculate. So when I have to spend a lot of time understanding, it makes a lot of sense to pick up a couple of sets and solve them. But when understanding does not take much time, so if a paper is calculation intensive, I believe that an approach when I'm going to look at all the four sets of DI and solve only those questions which I feel I'll be able to solve in less than 2 minutes, that approach may be a better one. So for this particular IIFT 2009 paper, the approach that I will follow is an approach that I'm going to look at all the sets of DI, and I'm basically going to decide based on the question and not on the data set. So let me go through and explain that. Okay. Let's look at this question number 1. So what I basically see is a bar diagram. There are two bar charts. Here it is automobile production and domestic sales, 2004-2006, passenger vehicles, commercial, three-wheelers. Pretty much nothing much to interpret. Straightforward data is basically given here. What I quickly want to figure out is a couple of things. So this is jumping from 300 to 450 to 600 to 750. Same is what is happening here. So in terms of the scale is same. Okay, so that makes my life a little easier. So let me just quickly go to question number 1. The question is, why didn't I start with GK? I didn't start with GK. I just picked the order or the actual order of this paper. In actual examination, probably start with GK and move to this. Okay. So let's not worry about order at this point in time. What is more important is in each of the sections, what does it have to do? Anyways, that was answering Kanika's question there. But anyway, let me read question number 1. Which of the following year exhibits the highest percentage decrease over the preceding year in the automobile production? Highest percentage decrease in the automobile production. So that is your graph number 1. So I need decrease. So this basically decreased about 2 points. From here to here, there was an increase of 1 point. From here to here, there was a decrease of about 0.5 points. So net the decrease was 1.5. But what I mean by a point is this particular distance from here to here. That is 1 point. I just counted it. It was here. That is a 825 marks, I guess. That went there. So that is a decrease of 2. That's an increase of 1. And there is a decrease of minus 1.5. So there is a decrease in 2005. 2006 increased. All this data increased, so I don't have to check for 2006. 2007 is an increase. I don't have to check for 2007. 2008, this white color, which is passenger, increased +1. This gray guy, commercial vehicles, decreased -1. And three-wheeler decreased -2.5. So this 1 -1 -2.5 next is -2.5. This is an absolute decrease. So what I essentially need to figure out is so answer is either 2005 or 2008. What is asked is percentage decrease. So percentage decrease is absolute change divided by the initial value. So in this case it will be -1.5 multiplied by whatever is the denominator there, which is the sum of these three values. And in this case, let's say denominator 1, in this case it is -2.5 divided by the denominator value. So, now what you quickly notice is that from 1.5 to 2.5, that's the numerator, that is about 1.6 times. So 1.5 to 2.5 is 1.6 times. But if you basically count the denominator, which will be the sum of these, 825 plus, this will be 525 plus about 500 That is the sum here. And if you take the sum for 2007, 1,200, 675, and about 4,500, the sum has not jumped. The denominator has not jumped 1.6 times. So I basically know that 2008 is the answer. So what is important? We can obviously solve it using mathematics, but I can also look at the data and do a fair amount of approximation, and I come to know that the answer is 2008. So that is my question number 1. If I look at question number 2, assuming whatever that is not sold domestically was exported, then which year has registered the highest growth in the export of automobiles? Now this is going to be tricky. Basically what I need to do is I have to go back. So let me just rub all this here so it's slightly easier. One second, give me just. For the second question, what I essentially have to do is first of all, I have to find the change. There's a production, there's a sale, so what remains is exported. So I have to add all this value, go down, add all this value, subtract it, do the same for 2005, do the same for 2006, and then figure out what is the growth. I know for sure that it's going to take me a lot of time for calculation, so I'll basically avoid question number 2. I'll solve question number 1. I'll keep question number 2 towards the end. If I have time, then I'll solve it. Question 3 is the ratio of the domestic sale price of commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles, the ratio 5:3:2. Sale is data number 2. So that is 5:3:2. So your white fellow is whatever multiplied by 5, and your gray guy is multiplied by 3, and your black guy is multiplied by 2. Then what is the percentage earnings approximately contributed by the commercial vehicle, which is your gray guy, to the overall earnings? Now basically I have to add this white guy, multiply that by 2, plus add all this gray fellow, multiply that by 3, add all this black fellows, multiply that by 2. So that is your total. Then the numerator, you know, the gray thing, and then it's going to take a lot of time to calculate. What I can give a sense is this is somewhere in the middle value, and that is approximately 3 times the middle value. The answer will be probably close to about 40%. So it can't be 11% and 27% is what I can, if I have to do my jugaad. I know it is very close to about 40%, but I have got 2 options which is very close. Therefore, the only way to get this answer is to actually solve it, because I know that it's going to take a lot of time. I'll avoid it at this present point in time and come back to it later. If I carry on and look at, but in fact, if you look at question number 4, 5, and 6, by minimal calculation, you'll be able to solve these 3 questions. I will solve a couple of them here. For example, which one should I pick? So let me pick this one, the 4th one. For which year are the domestic sales of automobiles closest to the average, which is for the entire period, 2004 to 2008, domestic sale of automobiles? So question again, for which year were the domestic sales of automobiles closest to the average? So domestic sale of automobiles closest to the average. Let me go back to that figure. So sales is next figure. I basically have to find out the average of all the sales and then check out for which one of the years that average value is closest. But if I just look at the figure ones, let me start looking at the white fellow. The minimum is this guy, 2005. I'm just taking the white. And the maximum is 2007. The average, I believe, will be somewhere in the middle in this range. But 2006 or 2008, whatever range mein hoga, average. If you look at the gray guy, the minimum is 2004 and maximum is 2006. Average will be somewhere here in the range of 2008 again. If you look at 2004, the minimum is 2004, maximum is 2006, average will be somewhere here, again 2008 range. So I get a sense that average will be closest to 2008. Now if you actually calculate it, you will still get the same answer. And I know there's a little bit of risk in terms of the way in which I'm approaching. But my objective is to maximize my attempts and do minimal calculation. So even if, and so long as my accuracy is about 85%, I'm safe. So that is how I treat question number 4. I can solve question number 4. Same is the case with question number 8. Which of the following year exhibited highest percentage increase over the preceding year in automobile sales? Even for this particular question, highest percentage increase over the preceding year in automobile sales. One second. Yeah. Automobile sales. Again, automobile sales, highest increase. Which of the following years exhibited highest percentage increase over the previous year in automobile sales? So basically, if you look at, so that is graph number 2, increase. First, let me check increase. 2005, decrease, total increase. 2006, huge increase here. Decent increase. 2006 is a good guy. 2007 is also increased. This one decreased. This one stayed constant. So between 2006 and 2007, 2006 will still win. 2008 is anyway decreased. So I know that 2008 is gone. So I know answer is 2006. I can mark 2006, which I believe is option number B. You can still solve this using mathematics, but basically you could look at the graph and solve it. The same would be the case here, but I'm not going to solve this. There are a lot of questions solved. To me, in this particular set of question number 1, I'll be able to solve about 3, I think, questions. Yes. So this is my DI number 1. So a lot of people say that IIFT is calculation intensive, DI is calculation intensive. I would believe it is not. It is calculation intensive. If you want to make it calculation intensive, go make it calculation intensive. Solve all those questions which you can solve by looking at the data, interpret the data, don't calculate. Let's look at this one. Let's look at question number 7 to 9. The table below gives the details of money allocation by 3 mutual funds, namely alpha, beta, and gamma. So money has been allocated to alpha, beta, gamma. The return for each fund depending on the money they allocate to different sectors, and the return generated by the sector. So there's the return, the 5%. So Kahani would be 1.49 on 100. So 1.49 ka 5%, 5.98 ka 5%, 3 ka 12%. So on and so forth. The last column gives a return. Okay, fantastic. So looks pretty. Okay, let's look at this one. Which fund has received more return per rupees? Which fund has received more return per rupees? Let's say, so the way in which so either it is alpha, beta, and gamma. Option number D is anyway looks very stupid. Both beta and gamma give the same return. Very unlikely, given the kind of numbers and the percentages. So beta and gamma is going to end up with the same. Anyway, so I want to figure out who has got more returns. So first of all, let me check sectoral return. The biggest fellow is 25% return is given by FMCG, and alpha is a king there, 14.5 on this 100 is given to somewhere which is 25%. Let me look at the next fellow. There is a 21% here. There is an 80% here. There is a 17%. There is a 15%. Have a quick look. 17% alpha. 18% alpha. Only in this energy, this gamma is 20%. So alpha is still 10, 20. But if you look at the gamma for other fellow, let's look at here, 25% gamma is only 2. 18 gamma is only 3. Here 70 to 0 hai. So in all probability, all likelihood, you can safely assume that alpha will be the guy who will basically get the maximum return. If you want to calculate, it's going to be a very painful calculation. You have to take percentages everywhere, and that's going to take a lot of your time. Yes. Just a sec. Okay. So let me go to question number 8. If allocation of money by the fund manager to different sectors is based on internal ranking, sector 1 gets highest allocation, so on and so forth. Sector with zero allocation of money should be considered to 14th rank, irrespective of the number of sectors in that category. This is only allocation of money, so this is perfect. Only allocation of money. I don't have to bother about return. In the light of this following statement, as we said, automobile is ranked by both alpha and beta as same. Let's go up. Automobile. Where are you? There you are. Automobile. Allocation 1.49, 5.98. So to find out the ranking, we go from niche because these values are small. So let's look at alpha's ranking. The bottom guy is 0, that is my 1. Then comes, where is it? 1.49. So that is the second from bottom. For alpha. For beta, it's 5.98. This is 0 I can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is anyway not the same. So I know that statement number 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2. Financial is the most favored by all 3 mutual funds. Is it? Let's just check. Financial is most favored. So 25.98 for alpha it is number 1. For beta it is number 1. For gamma it is not number 1 because there is an energy which is 20.5. So even 2 cannot be the answer. Only 3 is the answer. I don't even have to check because there is only one option which says that statement 3 alone is correct. So these 2 questions, I know the highest money allocation means low. Answer is D. Alpha, automobile is ranked by both alpha and beta are the same. So whether ranking from top to bottom, anyway, so sorry Prakash. Option 1 is there in 3. If 1 is not the answer, so automatically I don't have to check for 2. So you are much smarter than me for this particular question. Anyways, so let's go to the next one. Shema invested 10 lakhs in fund gamma in the beginning of the period. What will be the value of investment at the end of one period? Actually, this calculation is so let me get this down. Sorry. Okay. So investment has happened on gamma, and basically it will be 0 ka 5%, 5 ka 12 taka, 4 ka 5%, so on and so forth, and net your that. So basically you can actually do weighted average. We'll not worry about percentage now, we'll just multiply. 5 into 6, 12 is 60, 5 4 20, minus 20, 15 into 6 is 90, 11 into 9.5, approximately 100, 21 square, about 420, 15 in 16 to 8, 15 to 8, about 120, 17 to 6, about 100, this is about 50, 18 3 will be 56, 10 into 8, minus 80, 4 into 10, 40, 2 into about minus 7, this is 0. Add all this. I think this is a simple addition. 60 minus 20, 40, 40 plus 90, 130, 130 plus 100, 230, 230, 250, 650, 720, blah, 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 blah. You add everything. I think this comes to about approximately 900. 900 on 100 is 9% return. So when you get 9% return on 10 lakhs, about 10.9. So that's the answer. Yeah, 10.95. Options are not closed. Options are pretty far. Who said options are closed? absolute calculations. Options are never closed. Options are always fun. So out of this, even if you don't do question number 9, 2 I could have solved. So 3 plus 2, 5. So far from these two sets. Let's go on to next set. Looks a little bigger one. So area under production is given. That's the area, that's the quantity given. So over 3 periods. And then somewhere there's a note that is given. Yield or productivity is defined as the quantity produced per hectare. So basically this is this quantity divided by this area. That is my yield or productivity. So then we have to do a little bit of division. A lot of people don't like division, including me. So now question number 10 is what is the ratio between jowar yield 2007 and soybean yield 2008? 2007 jowar, that is basically 368 divided by 2007, no? 673. We are comparing ratios, so in which case those units get cancelled, so you can just compare these two fellows. The second is soybean yield 2008. Soybean yield 2008, this is about 799, 650, so we can say 800 upon 650. 800 upon 650 is a little easier to calculate. So that will be about 800 upon 6. It will be 13. So my pen suddenly got. Anyway, you basically have to, we'll just come back to this question number 10, a little bit of calculation involved. Let's quickly go to question 11 once. So basically, one second. And the options are a little painful, 0.89, 0.78, too difficult. So this, I know that I might make a mistake in this particular calculation. So let me look at, I'll do 10 towards the end if I have time. So let me look at question number 11. Top 3 crop by yield in 2006. So 2006 yield. The first thing that I will do is 2006, this divided by this. 2006 yield. So 2006. So if you look at rice, it is 153 by 107, roughly 15 by 10, 1.5. So rice I'll keep 173, jowar 173 by 598, less than 1. So I'll remove this 2127 divided by 4, remove this 110, 11 divided by 10, 1.1 approximately. 5 by 16, remove this. 130 by 1799, remove this. 31 by 124, remove it. 149 by 1228, because I want the highest. 13 divided by 20, less than 1. 26, less than 1. 2 by 5, less than 1. 63 by 422, less than 1. 491. 491 by 317. I'll keep it. Groundnut. 856 by 754. Keep this. Sunflower. 880 by 472. I know for sure sunflower is a king. So sunflower has to be there. So almost double. So I know that there are two options which is for sunflower. Option number C and option number C and option number B. So all you have to check for one of these guys. Rice is there here, rice is there here. So basically you have to compare between castor seed and sunflower oil. If you quickly compare, you'll know that these options. So try and do. You can even go by the option and check. But in this case, checking like this is also pretty easy because I'm not really calculating at all. So somebody is asking, you can go by option and check. Same is the thing I'll do with question number 12. Question number 11 and 12 is something I'll be able to manage. Question number 13. Total productivity of pulses. So now I have to take the entire pulse. Maize is the most stable. So maybe I'll be able to So this is pulse. Percentage growth in area and quality of production is higher. Maybe you can just check, for example, if I check 3, percentage growth in area, quality production, Zohar. Where is Zohar? Area has increased, production has increased, yield 173 by 598, 368. This growth has jumped 170 to 36, 17 to 36 is a bigger growth than 59 to 67, 36 to 38, and 67 to 72. So that has also grown. But I'll have to check for option number 1, so it's a little painful. Even if I look at question number 14, cereal productivity, oil seeds, so I have to basically look at a chunk. So this I know it will take a little more time. So 2 questions, what I will do, maybe some of you are good in calculation can do a little more, but I will pick 2 from there. So 2 questions from there. Here as well. Even in this case, I'll just pick 1 question to help you understand, but some of the questions are really pretty easy to handle. One sec. Okay, let's look at question number 19 for instance. Which of the following statements are true based on the data in the table above? A. Oil is used for transport purpose by metro cities. It is increasing every year since 1996. Oil used by transport purpose by metro cities. Transport purpose for metro cities. Increasing, that's what it says. 700, 920,000, increase. But here it has decreased. So option 1 is not the answer. In fact, if you look at each of the options, there is absolutely no calculation that needs to be done for question number 19. In fact, for question number 16 and 17 is bare amount of calculation. So basically what I'm saying with respect to DI is this. Instead of picking 2 DI sets and trying to fight those 2 DI sets, my advice would be to basically identify questions that you can solve. And this is because if you look at IIFT DI, largely you don't prefer too much time in interpreting the data. What is going to be more important? It's a calculation intensive kind of a set. So in one DI, you might have 5 questions, out of which 2 may be very easy, 2 little difficult, 1 very difficult. So when you choose this one DI set, try to solve all the 5 questions in the DI set, then what is going to happen is you're going to spend a lot of time. So yes, if it sets a very, very interpretation intensive, you look at a lot of reading, then that would make sense to solve a couple of tests. Otherwise, my approach, I believe, is a good approach that you can adopt. Let me just move on to LR. I mean, this LR question is something that can be done. It's a little lengthy, in the sense there's a lot of data given. The approach of taking 4 DI sets, 2 questions would take a lot of understanding time for each set, isn't it, sir? That's exactly what I was saying, Paritosh. This particular DI set, you will notice there is not much of understanding. So let me look at this DI set. What is there to understand here? Study the following table carefully and answer the question. You have one look at the DI set, you know what it is saying. So you basically, if you look at, don't go by CAT. If you see the CAT paper before the DI, there will be one whole story, and then you have one pie chart, then you have another chart, and that, yes, in that kind of set, it makes sense to solve, pick 2 DI sets and solve it. But in this case, when there is hardly an interpretation, you can quickly go to the question and start solving without doing too much of interpretation. I believe even if we spend, let's say, 1 minute or just 1 minute in understanding the question, trying to pick easy questions, easy questions, it would be the best approach. So what I'm basically saying, don't go by any pre-decided strategy. Look at what is the DI that you're going to get in IIFT 2005, have a look at it and see which is the better one. But But never ever, just because you have spent some time in a DI set, never ever think that you're going to solve all the questions. If you see that one question is not solvable, don't solve it. Anyways, coming to LR, this was an okay one. 4 houses, blue, green, red, yellow are located in a row in the given order. So one order is at least given. And then there are these 4 people who got some 4 salaries. The salary is also given here, 80, 110, 30 and 50. So for those of you who are pretty okay with respect to LR, would find it easy to handle. There were 3 questions. So pretty simple. I'm not going to solve it. Question is, how many questions should we attempt per section? How to make a strategy? Vedika, let's say there are 35 questions here in this DILR set. 35 questions of 35 questions of DILR in this set. My approach will be to spend about 35 minutes. In the 35 minutes, I believe I'll be able to attempt about 15 questions, 15, 17. If I'm lucky, maybe 19, but 15 questions, and then out of it, hopefully about 10, 12 right. For this particular paper, the score that you have to get was 32. There was some 33. 4 marks were gifted. 4 marks were gifted. So you had to do, for this particular paper, in this year, you had to basically do about 10 questions from the DILR set. So this is, I don't think, was very difficult. I'll take 2 questions and then move on. One question is, if I'm not good at math, can I compensate and treat this DI? You never know because you don't know how the DI is going to come. This is Mudafsar. How many questions to solve in DI? There are 19 questions. About what? 8, 9 would be good enough. 50% attempt. Wo pakad ke jao. 50% attempt with about 85% accuracy. Is it better to start? It is okay what we start with. What is very important is keep a track of time. If there are, let's say, 15 questions of LR, ensure that you are spending basically broadly about 2 minutes for one question. So this 20, 21, 22, you will basically get it straight. You will crack that particular set. Anyway, I'm not solving it. It will take 15, 10. This 23 was a nice one. All you have to do is keep drawing the key draw 30 kilometers towards north. So keep drawing 30, then 40 towards west, and then you basically solve this. This was easily solvable. Question number 23 was solvable. Question number 24, it's about a family. I'm a family man, but almost all the time the questions on family, I'm at a loss. I always make mistakes. If you are the one who is comfortable with family tree and stuff, it's very easy for them. For me, I always get confused. Mr. Raju took members of the family for a picnic. His father's mother and mother's father, including their 2 children. His father's mother. Anyways, you guys solve it. I got this question in paper, I'm not going to do it. Question number 25 had a mistake. So those who are solved to spend 25, time on 25 wouldn't have gotten the answer. Question number Question number 26 is also pretty straightforward. Kanika was asking the question, what is that you have to do in round 1? Now round 1, round 2, round 3 is something that GP adopts and something that he's very comfortable with. I'm basically not really comfortable with this. I basically read a question. My approach always, I read a question. If I believe that I can solve in 2 minutes, I'll do it. Otherwise I won't. I'll move to the next one. So I basically move question by question with a sense of time. Yes, Kanika, so whichever his approach is comfortable. What GP does is he first does a set of questions which you can read fast, then he goes to round 2, then he goes to round 3. I basically make the decision then and there. Can I solve this? It basically means that I will read this question. And then I will decide. Once you read this question is pretty easy. 26, solvable. Question number 27 to 30 was mistake. For this question, I believe that 4 marks were given as bonus. Anyways, if you read this question and read all this and read question number 27, I did not understand anything. Anyways, I would have left 27, 28, 29 and 30. Yeah. How many of you are comfortable with this kind of input, output? I didn't see an answer. Okay. Oh, Mudafar said, Kanika said, good question. Basically, in this question, this is actually not very difficult. Basically, in this question is to understand some pattern will eventually emerge. The best way to do it is put numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the best way. Obviously, you will take a separate step right on the side. Then this became 1, So then you know that next was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Then bovine came. There was 5, 6, 9, 10, 7, 8. Then we keep changing. What you essentially notice is step number 5. In step number 5, what basically happened is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 became 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5, 8, 7, 10, 9. So basically from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Step 1. That is input. On step 5, each thing got interchanged. So 9 came here, 9 came here. So basically what happens is the next 5, on the 10th step, you will come back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the 20th step will come back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically what we notice is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 11 will be this, 12 will be this, 13 will be this, 14 will be this, 15 will be this, so on and so forth. So once the crux of input output is to hunt for a pattern. Hunt for a pattern. At some point in time things are going to turn. That is always going to happen in input output question. Once you hunt for a pattern, figure out the pattern. This happened in step number 5. And once you do that, then it becomes easy. Once you get this, crack this, then these 3 questions are easy. Which of the following will be step 14? Step 14 will be step 4. By the way, none of them is answered. So this is an incorrect question. It should be step 4. Mark the arrangement that does not fall between step 12, 13 and 4. So, what is not 12, 13 and 4 is same as what is 2, 3 and 4. Just check 2, 3 and 4. Whichever is not 2, 3 and 4, that's the answer. That is B. If the arrangement is repeated, which of the steps will give the same input after every 10. So, step number 20. So, for those of you who are comfortable with input output, is an easy one. Those of you are not comfortable, even if you don't crack the pattern, then it becomes very painful. How could you able to single out step 5 one class? I didn't single out step 5 one class. I did not, Ashutosh, I did not do it. I actually wrote it down. Because I don't have any space to write. I keep writing it down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it will take some time. Figuring out a pattern will take about 4 minutes. But 4 to 5 minutes. But once you get the pattern, these 3 questions are immediate. How much rough space we get? At the end of the page, I will get about 4 to 5 places that you get. And also, if you look at IIFT paper, it's not so congested as this particular paper that you see. There is enough space. So you don't get additional rough sheets of about 2 pages. This is good enough. Anyway, you use pencils and erasers. And this is also straightforward. So actually, you safely will have to draw that chart and then figure out. So this is also not very difficult one. You can solve it if you have not solved it yet. This is also pretty straightforward. If you look at LR, the crux for selection, that was LR. Select the right kind of questions. And if you look at DI, to me it is picking the easy one. What was needed was for the entire question of 34, the actual cutoff was somewhere close to, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 to 12 marks. You can actually get the 10 marks from DI itself. So what you essentially need to do, What you essentially need to do is this, is that don't panic. Never ever panic. Aram se karo is not very tricky. Going to section 2, how many questions to solve in LR? Maximum. That is Kanika, difficult question to answer, that depends on the paper. In this, you could have easily picked about 6 questions, I believe. You could have solved about 6 questions from LR, and you could have solved about 8 to 9 questions of DI, or you could have vice versa. So it's about 15 questions you could have solved. Okay, let me go to quant once, and then I'll come to GK towards the end. So where is it? This is quant. Meghna, should you actually attempt input output? I would have attempted because I'm comfortable with input output questions. If you've never seen it, then don't do it. Don't waste your energy, health on it. But you have to basically manage it to somewhere else. Some math. This paper, I'm talking about this paper, cutoff was about 8 to 9. Out of the, 28 odd questions. This paper. People said math was very difficult. There was no numbers for the question. You can already see some logs. Again in mathematics, what I believe is that selection is a key. My perspective of selection is very simple. I have no love towards any topic or anything. All I am saying is can and solve. Now let me take a whiteboard here one sec. Let me look at quant. So you have this question which is not lengthy, it's a one-liner. I'm basically talking about questions. So basically it'll be 1 by 1 into 2 into 3 plus 1 by 3 into 4 into 5. So basically you don't take much time to read and understand. Then you have this lengthy one. And you have a whole set of data. There is a tendency to leave out lengthy one. Please don't do it. Don't decide based on the names alone. If you look at the lengthy one, there are 2 kinds. One, which has got a lot of data. It is lengthy because it has got a lot of data. This is painful one. The other one, it is lengthy because it is giving a story. So while be open to all kind of questions. Okay, you can allot about 35 minutes to do this 28 questions in this section, and all we have to do is get about 10 marks. To do about 10 marks, you have to hunt for about 12 to 13 questions which we can solve and get most of them right. In 12 to 13 questions, 28 minutes, that 12 to 13 questions in 35 minutes, that's approximately what about? 3 minutes per question, 2.5 to 3 minutes per question. So you essentially have a lot of time. The cutoff was about 10. The total cutoff was 37.4. Out of which 4 was bonus marks for this IIFT 2009. So basically you have to get about 33 marks. So 10, 10, 10 and 3 in GK. Which should be good enough. Okay, let me get back to, now if let me actually do one by one. Question 55. Question 55, Fortuner on the latest SUV that Toyota Motors consumes diesel at a rate of some liters per kilometer. That's a consumption. Even if it looks dangerous, not really dangerous. 1 by 400 into 1000 by x plus x. If the cost of diesel is 35 per liter, that's the cost. And the driver is paid at a rate of 125 per hour, then find the approximate optimal speed of Fortuner that will minimize the total cost of the trip. So, basically the equation. So, one is, whatever this thing is, there's a diesel per cost. It is traveling for 800 kilometers, 35 per liter. So this expression multiplied by 800 into 35 plus 120 per hour. I need to, the speed is x. It basically would be x by 800. That will be a time multiplied by, So you find out that distance equal to speed into time. The speed is x. Distance 800 kilometers. So time taken 800 by x. I'm sorry. Then the 800 by x multiplied by 35. Into 125. What am I saying? And then you finally get it down to one expression. I believe there will be an expression on x, something in the numerator, something in the denominator. There are two ways of doing it. One, then do differentiation. If you're not comfortable with differentiation, you can substitute these values and get. But even that will be lengthier. But I will solve this towards the end. This question number 56. I don't know how many of you are comfortable with time, speed, and distance. If you're comfortable with time, speed, and distance, you'll be able to crack this. This is to understand that. Anyways, let me for a moment leave this aside and go to the next one. So not many will be able to do question number 56. I hope you are comfortable with time, speed, distance, then it's pretty easy to crack. Question number 57. Question number 57, if you actually go by the mathematics, is going to be very painful, but I can actually solve this because mathematics, I explained this last time during the session when it got cut because of a technical glitch. Anyway, let me repeat that. This first term is 1 by 6 plus 1 by 60 plus 1 by 210. So 1 by 6 is 0.166, so on and so forth is approximately 0.19. I suppose say that differentiation becomes easier. Yes, of course it becomes easier. But for those of you who don't know differentiation, have not done differentiation, don't want to do differentiation, you can still handle. A little bit of differentiation helps. So anyway, coming back to this question, this sum is 0.19. Now let me look at the options. Here it is E square. Now E is 2.7. E square is going to be 7 point something minus 1. Answer is close to 0.19. But here E square is 2.7 square minus 1 is greater than 1. A cannot be the answer. This is log 2 to the base E minus 1. To understand log 2 to the base E, that basically means if log 2 to the base E equal to n, E raised to n equal to 2. 2.7 raised to n equal to 2. Obviously n has to be less than 1. So if n is So log 2 to the base E is less than 1 minus 1 will be a negative term, cannot be the answer. Log 2, log 1 equal to 0, log 10 is equal to 1. So basically between 1 and 2, log 2 will be about 0.2, 0.3, actually 0.3. 2 times 0.3 is 0.6, 0.6 minus 1 negative quantity. So this also cannot be the answer. Answer is option number B. Log 3 is 0.3. See, question number 58, substitute, and this is also solvable. Basic log. For those of you who have not touched log, don't want to touch log, do basic log. Basic log is good enough to handle some of this question, at least this one, 58. Question number, moving on. Question number 58 is substitution, solvable. Question number 59, solvable. If you want to use math, it's also pretty straightforward. A right circular cone is enveloping the right circular cylinder. So basically there's a cone and there's a cylinder kept. This is 4. This height is 10. This is R, that is H. So the basic similar triangle, you substitute the basic geometry you'll be able to get. For those of you who don't like geometry, I can also solve it using this. If I take R, this is the radius. When R is equal to 0, it basically becomes one line. When R becomes 0, cylinder the radius becomes 0, it basically becomes one line. The curved surface area will be equal to 0. When R is equal to 4, it will be like one disk. When R is equal to 4, the curved surface area should also be 0. Therefore option B is it. When substitute R is equal to 4, this is equal to 0, R is equal to 0, it becomes 0. Option number C anyway cannot be the answer because R is less than 4 in most of the cases. So it will be negative quantity. Question number 60. Simple differentiation. Radius of the sphere is 30 centimeters. It increases rate of 2 centimeters per second. Curve surface area is 4 pi r square. So d of that will be 8 pi r dr by dt. So dr by dt is the change of area, which is 2 multiplied by 30, 48, 485. So this is basic application differentiation. Let's say even if you don't know how differentiation, then you will get out on a simple question. Question number 61. Nisha says question number 59. Question number 59, which is this, right? Question number 59, you can solve using math. So let me take a whiteboard. So basically there is a right circular cone, there is a cylinder kept. This height is 10. This radius is equal to 4. This radius is r, and that is h. So basically it's a similar triangle. You can apply similar triangle to this triangle, the same as that triangle. So once you apply the similar triangle, you'll be able to solve it. Basically what I was saying is that when r is equal to 4, it basically means r is equal to 4. It basically becomes a disk. The curve surface area will then become equal to 0. So when you substitute r is equal to 4, only this option gives me 0. That's what I was saying. That is just a jugaad way of doing it, but the math way is also pretty okay. Question number 61, basic geometry. The basic geometry question, not much of funda required. So even that is also solvable. I'm not solving 61 here. 62. Now 62 is a whole story. Somebody says please solve 56. Which one is 50? 56. I'll do that at the end. Who is this? Kalika? Huh? You are allowed to explain something. Let me just quickly finish off that analysis. Basically, if you look at question number 62, the whole story, but the story boils down to basically saying that there is a deficit of 2,000. This deficit increases 500 every month. Then basically 2,000 plus 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 3,500, so on and so forth. And he has got only 60,000 with him. When will he run out? So it's a simple. So whether he'll run out 10th month or 11th month or 12th month or 13th month. So basically you can start with 10 months, take n equal to 10, the sum of the series. You know the common difference is D. You check whether it's cost 60,000. You basically know that till 12th month you won't have any problem. 13 months. For all the story, only 2 data. A lot of people say that when the questions are big, don't read. But I will always advise, doesn't matter the questions are big, please always go for it. I have allotted 25 minutes and my target is to get a score about 10 and I have to solve only 15. So I have a lot of time. I am taking it every question 63. 42,000, you read it, it's not needed. This 42,000, if you look at IIFT year after year, they'll give you all this data which are actually not needed. You have to pick data that is needed. So don't be scared about lengthy ones. Whether you do it towards the end or the beginning doesn't matter. But anyway, question number 63, straightforward application of PNC. I don't know how many of you computers this. How many of you got confused with how many of you come to PNC? I'm very comfortable with PNC. This is I think this question is there in the CL sheet also. So the answer is basically n plus r minus 1 cr minus 1. You basically have to use a whole number solution funda. 64 was probably the easiest. The card is drawn at random from a well-shuffled pack, 52 cards. X is given, Y is given, so I basically need to find the probability. The card drawn is a black or a king, club or a heart or a jack, ace or a diamond. Basically, I'm picking one card and 52 card samples which is same. Sample say 52 is same for everyone. So all I have to find is this. card drawn is black for a king. There are 26 black cards, two already kings. There are 2 more kings, that is 28. Why? The card is drawn a club or a heart or a jack. Same case, 28. And this will be basically the straightforward question. Question number, is ace a face card? Ace does not have a face. Ace is king, queen, and jack. Ace is ace. Ace is not a face card, Kanika. Question number 65. In OR we are. Yes, of course. OR is addition and is multiplication. Fundamental principle of counting. So basically there is, in this question, 65. Let me just go to the whiteboard. Basically what it's saying, there is a circle and then there's a square, or there's another circle, another square, so on and so forth. I think there's a square here. So on and so forth. And then you know that basically he wants to find out the summation of the area between the square and my picture is pretty bad, but so basically he wants you to find out the sum of all the squares. So sum of all the shaded regions, which is between a circle and a square, something of that sort. So what we essentially know, there are a lot of these shaded regions. Let me go to the question once again. It says, let A1 be the square whose side is of A meters, circle C1 circumference the square A1 such that all its vertices are on C1, another square A2 circumference C1, blah 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 blah. If Dn is the area between the square An and the circle Cn, then n is a natural number. When n increases, the area is simply going to increase. So obviously the answer has to be infinity. So I don't know whether to math question. This was a simple logical one. Can be solved. Question number 66. Too many data. So this is something that I love. Oh boy. Even after reading. This 66 is a dangerous one. 66 is dangerous. Too many data. And very confusing one. So I'll avoid this. Work. Basic work question. Aditya can do a job in 6 weeks, Vedas in 9 weeks, Yuvraj in 12 weeks. They work together for 2 weeks. Aditya leaves the job. Then Vedas leaves the job 1 week before the completion of work. So basically, if n days is taken, Aditya takes 6 weeks. So 1/6 of the work is done by Aditya for 2 weeks. Plus Vedas does 1/9 of the work in n minus 1 day because he leaves 1 day before, plus this guy does 1/4 of the work in n days, the third guy. That should be equal to 1. So that is one equation, answer will be 4. This is a straightforward application of work. 68, for those of you comfortable with stocks and shares, basically, in 2006, Ravindra was allotted 650 shares of Sun Systems Limited. The initial public offer had a face value of ₹10 per share. In 2007, Sun Systems declared a bonus at the rate of 3:13. Now 3:13, if you understand what this means, this is question easy. 3:13 means for every 13 shares, you'll get 3 more shares. So there are 650 shares, you'll get 150 more shares. So shares will go to about 900. So that's how we interpret. Once you do that, it's pretty simple. How many atoms are good for quad? I'm basically saying if there are about 40 to 45% of the question. This is an okay geometry to do, little confusing, but okay one to do. If I were taking this examination, I would have done it. This is question number 69 and 70. '71. Again, question 71. Here again, lot of data. Basically, if you read the story, I hope you guys have read this paper before coming here. I don't know. Anyways, Karthik's mother asked him to get the vegetables, means blah blah blah. He has given denomination of 1 rupee, 2 rupee and 5 rupee coins. Karthik first goes to the grocery shop to buy vegetables. At the grocery shop, he gives half of his 5 rupees coin. So if he had X 5 rupees coins, he's left with X by 2. And in return, receives the same number of 1 rupee coins. Next he goes to the dairy shop. To buy milk and butter and gives all 2 rupee coins and in return gets 30 5 rupee coins. So he gets back 30 5 rupee coins, which increases number of 5 rupee coins to 75% more than the original number. So that is 1.75 times X. Question is whether to do question number 69 and 70 avoidable. I would probably do that towards the end, little confusing, but avoidable one. Question number 69 70. So this equation is basically got from these two data. At the grocery shop, he gives half of 5 rupee coins, and then here, next he goes to dairy, he gets 30 5 rupee coins, which increases the number of 5 rupee coins to 75 more than the original number. So this X from X, I'll get the number of 5 rupee coins. What I instantly noticed is that what is being asked is number of 1 rupee coin and 5 rupee coins originally. I know it's X is, I think you'll get 28 or 36 I believe. It will not be 60, it is not 80, it is not 70, only none of the above. So while this question is lengthy, by cracking this one equation, you are able to answer the question. So that is your question number 71. 72 is a basic time speed distance. Read little carefully. Solve aram se. This is a solvable one. 72 should have been solved. Question number 73 was a wrong question. That is basically wrong because this is 60, 60, 60. This is 60, 60, 60. Such a diagram is not possible to draw. So this will also become 120. It cannot be 120. A pentagon cannot be 120. That's the problem. So 73 is actually incorrect question. Moving on. 74. Little tricky one. Can be avoided unless someone is basically comfortable with work. Anyways, let me give you one particular funda here. There's a pipe P1, there's a pipe P2, and there's a leak which is P3. So what you notice is that P1 can fill the tank in 8 hours. So this is filling the tank in 8 hours. P2 is filling the tank in 12 hours. And P3 is emptying the tank in 8 hours. So what you essentially notice is that while P1 is filling in 8 hours, P3 is emptying in 8 hours, the speed is the same. So if both the tanks are open, net nothing happens. Whatever comes out from here goes. So only P2 is working. So it is not, but this particular question has a little more twist than this. But something that can be avoided or kept towards the end. This particular question. 75 is something that should have been solved, could have been solved. A ping pong ball is dropped from 45 meter high. So it is dropped from 45 meter high, then it goes up, comes back, so on and so forth. The ball bounces 3 feet of the distance each time. So there is a 45 here, then there is 3/5 of 45 twice plus 3/5. So basically you will get a series 45 plus 2 into 45 into 3 by 5 plus 45 into 3 by 5 square, so on and so forth. So it's an infinite series. So once you crack that, it is a simple infinite series to handle. Question number 76. Also solvable. petrol tank is filled. So status is also solvable. Is a basic mixture problem. It will be 400 minus 40 divided by 400 raised to 6 times. Multiply by 40. One equation. Question number 77. Too many data. I'll avoid question number 77. Too many data. Little bit of calculation. Question number 78 and 79 were ambiguous. But actually if you, especially question number ambiguous, so there's a chance of getting confused with the particular question, both of them, 78 and 79. But otherwise, the calculations are pretty straightforward one. 80, solvable. You basically need to know binomial expansion. 1 plus x is 10 is basically 10c0 plus 10c1x plus 10c2 x square plus 10c3 x3, so on and so forth. So I basically need x raised to 7. So this has to be multiplied by x raised to 7. The coefficient will be 10c7 minus x square multiplied by x raised to 5. The coefficient will be 10c5. So, and plus x cubed x raised to 4 with 10c4. That's the coefficient. 81 and 82, very straightforward. 81, very basic. 82 is also a basic question. Cyclic quadrilateral. Area is S minus A into S minus B into S minus C into S minus D. Now in these four things, the area, the sides are increasing threefold. Basically each of this term will increase threefold. The square root basically will increase ninefold. Ninefold would be 800%. That is none of this. So 1, 2, I'm sure that in this paper there were some questions. Pariko saying that in petrol, to 7th question, it's in the calculation to cumbersome. Why would it be cumbersome? Basically I believe that you have to do 40 into 9 by 10 the whole raised to 6. 40 into 0.9 raised to 6. 0.9 is 90%. Not very cumbersome. 40 into 0.9 to 0.9 is 0.81 into 0.81 into 0.9. So 0.81 take 80% and start solving. Not very difficult one. Anyways, what is going to be your challenge, let me say this to all of you, your challenge in mathematics is basically going to be how to select questions. So my advice always is this, is that keep it absolutely simple. You read a question, you feel you can solve the question, you solve it. If you can't solve a question, move to the next one. Keep doing this till question number 82. Some questions, yeah. Okay, specific questions, I'll leave my email. I will try and answer. Because there are a lot of questions on a lot of specific problems that people are asking me. Anyways, take these things. Keep it absolutely simple. Then the questions. Let me say this, guys. When you see a set which is very difficult, let's say you see a form which is very difficult, you should be happy and not sad. You should be happy because it will be difficult for everyone. While you are facing problems, you should know that everyone is facing the problem. So, and then you must understand that what you actually need to do is do about 8, 9, 10 questions. And then the whole idea would be to try and select those 8 to 9, 10 questions. 8 to 9, 10 questions, that's the crux. And the more the difficult paper it is, the more you should be thankful because the less number of questions you have to solve. Imagine an IIFT paper with 150 questions, everything is easy, and you have to solve 120 questions. That is a challenge. The reason why IIFT becomes a challenge, you end up spending a lot of time in questions, and then you end up wasting time. Never do that. Engineers won't face problems. Kanika says, no, engineers will face the problem. We are getting the steps. reading comprehension. There were 4 reading comprehension tests, and then the rest you had a verbal ability, the questions, all put together constituting, one second, just a second. It's easy to turn paper than to deal with PDF files. Okay. So you had 4 passages, and then you had the verbal ability section. 4 passages. What you can do will be 2 passages. So step 1 is to select passage. Now each one has got your own perspective in terms of you want to select passage. You go ahead and do it. I will tell you mine. I will basically decide on not the length of the passage. My decision is largely based on will I understand what I read. So even if passage number 1 seems pretty lengthy, I would have picked it because when I read it, it sounds, I was still very comfortable. I'm able to understand this pretty neatly. Is it necessary to attend RC students? Of course it is. Of course it is. Because then you're putting a lot of pressure on other sections, and you end up solving questions which are difficult ones. So don't skip any section. Since the question has been raised, let me address this. There is a tendency, okay fine, I have to solve, let's say, 40 questions. Why can I leave a section completely? And the pressure you're putting yourself is for the 9 questions, you have to pick from another area. And then you end up going to pick the 9 questions from the difficult set, because the easy set you would have already solved. Therefore, solve it. Do we attempt RC with 3 questions? Yes. Why not? If you are able to, because RC weightage was 1 and the verbal weightage was 0.6 in the 0.6, I believe, yes. So it was 1 mark weightage. So please attempt the RC question. I would have picked this particular fellow for a couple of reasons. One, passage was okay, and the question seems pretty direct. The problem independent direction has been, but only and I would have picked the last one. 17, where is that? This passage 4, this was a little straightforward. It was like conversation, and the questions were also very direct. So I believe that you'll be able to solve about 2 passages that will take about 12 minutes. You basically will be able to solve about 6 questions, 5 to 6 questions. So 5 to 6 questions in 12 minutes, you are still attempting. Your speed is good because you're giving about 2 minutes per question. So I would always advise, don't leave anything unless until you have no choice, you really don't like RC, and you get everything wrong. This one, the question also was pretty straightforward. Should we also look at into the negative option before deciding on RC? See, I think RC is pretty tricky. I will not be very prescriptive in RC because a lot of things are decided on RC. Am I able to comprehend? Am I comfortable with direct questions? Am I comfortable with the reasoning-based questions? So basically, you decide on RC based on your comfortable. All I'm saying is stick to RC. In the IIFT, when you get these 4 RCs, stick to whatever the logic that you're going to use. Stick to with the logic that you use. Read the options, have a sense of what basically this is what I'll do. I will glance through the RC passage, see whether I'm comfortable, I'll glance through the question. Is it okay to be handled? Then I decide. Your part 2 is verbal. So my grammar is not all that good, but I still have to, and my verbal is not all that great, but I'm sure I'll still be able to manage this particular paper because some of them was okay. For example, question number 98. which was error. Our monthly volume data suggested however that stubbornly. This was an okay one. And then however our monthly data stubbornly suggested that these answers. So there were a couple of things about now out of this question. This was not very difficult. Question 31. Okay. There was one set here. For example, set 101. It was more logical than anything. If you read this, from what landscapes of flower beds would future painters draw their inspiration, would move poets to craft their symphonies, composers to contemplate the meaning of God. Actually, philosophers have to contemplate the meaning of God. So this particular one was purely based on more of reasoning than actually grammar. So because of that, I like this paper. It was not pure grammar. So this was not very difficult. Even this word, synonym, antonym, the sentence was given. At least you could figure out the sense of the meaning of the sentence if you don't know the meaning of the word. The book did not get much acclaim because of its pedantic style of writing. Even if you did not know the meaning of the word pedantic, you can basically try and figure out something wrong with it. The dogmatic, applicative, cannot be the answer, so on and so forth. Chagrin. The policy announcement was made to the much chagrin of the farmers. Again, if you look at option number 1, positive, euphoria. Option number C, positive. But a little bit of, even if you don't know the meaning of the word, you could have still managed. If you know the meaning of the word, it's fantastic. For those of you who read well, if I had taken this paper about 8 years back, when I was preparing for the GRE, I would have easily handled this. Demuse, this was also a word that bewildered. Pretty okay one. So this 4 was doable. At least 3 to 4 of this was doable. Your sentence correction was doable. Even for those people who are weak in vocabulary, because the sentences were given. And from the sense of the sentence, you could have still managed. About 2 to 3 from here was also pretty doable. The organization, even fill in the blanks, about 2 to 3 was doable. Let me go. Yeah, your esoteric. One second, where is that? Look. In that thing, what is somebody asking a question. Okay. I'm not too sure the exact meaning of the word esoteric, but what I know is that D, B or A cannot be the answer. You can just check the dictionary. I think it's something to do with difficult style of writing. Anyone can help. Not sure. I probably will pick a couple of them. Okay, here. This is your para symbol. At least the para symbol that you see, that at least in this IIFT 2009 paper, barring a couple of them, is not the like ones that you see in CAT. It was much easier to manage. This one is a little more easier to manage. One. For example, if I look at this one, as a retention strategy, the company has issued many schemes, including ESOP. Given the track, given the track record and success of our employees, other companies often look to us as a hunting ground for talent. The growth of the economy has led to an increased requirement for talented managerial personnel, and we believe that the talented manpower is our strength. Further, in order to mitigate the risk we place, considerable emphasis on development and leadership on building employee motivation. So what I can basically figure out is that 1 and 4 has to connect. As a retention strategy, the company has issued many schemes including ESOP, and that has to get connected with 4. And then it has to move to 3. Sorry, 1, 4. So it basically will become 2, 3, 2, 1, 4. Question is, should we solve parallel IIFT considering the time constraint and other questions of this section will take much time? See, basically, if we, let me go to the whiteboard once. You had RC and you had BA. You had about 15 questions of RC and about 15 questions of BA, roughly. Okay. And here, let's say you have 5 questions on parallel jumble and you have about 10 questions which is on the rest. RC, basically what I'm basically saying, it's spend about 12 minutes and try and solve about 5 to 6 questions. And this 10 questions of your basic vulnerability, you won't take more than 8 to 10 minutes. Anyway, so you still have 22 minutes. What I'm basically saying that I have allocated 35 minutes, you still have time to do parallel jumble questions. There is no time constraints. At least for this paper, there are 122 questions to be solved in 120 minutes. You guys are basically looking at this paper because you've taken so many CAT papers, which is 72 section tests, 60 questions, lot of time. So basically, if you look at IIFT in itself and not compare it with CAT, and not put the CAT approach to it, I will still say this, you have considerable amount of time, a lot of time to solve the question. So I'll pick any questions that you really want me to solve. Anyway, so let me just I missed. I can't. Let me go to page 8 first. This was the year. The GK section of IIFT has always been very painful, but this was the year the GK section was not very difficult. If you go through the GK questions of this year, this specific IIFT, there were very few static questions. People were very thrilled to actually solve the GK questions. And I will pick some of the questions and tell you how easy. I think about 8 to 10, even if you don't read much, you'll still be able to handle. Let's look at question number 39, for example. Competition Act. Competition, if you look at these 4 options, facilitating external trade payment, formation and regulation of company, prohibition of anti-competitive agreement, and all probably is going to be this. So even if I don't know what was Act of 2002, out of the 4 options, option B3 makes sense. The only option with B3 is A. 40, for example. President. This was anyway simple, but even if you look at this country to currency, France is euro, Germany is euro, only one option. So this 3 has to go to 2, 4 has to go to 2. 4 has to go to 2, 3 has to go to 2. C. Question number 42, my favorite. Who amongst the following was not nominated by the Government of India on the board of Satyam Computer Services? This gentleman, Ketan Parekh, was caught in one of those stock exchange scams. So in no way government is going to give him this particular, no way government is going to nominate. I have no idea about the rest of the guys, but I know that Ketan Parekh cannot be the answer. A lot of these questions, especially in this particular IIFT 2009, could be able to solve. The only problem is the total mark was 8. Even if you do 50% and text, probably get about 4 marks. In this year at least, IIFT 2009, there was specifically mentioned there was a sectional cutoff. So people had to solve this question. Nowadays, they don't mention, but it's always good to be on the safe side. Broadly, can one option go to 2 choices? Yes, one option can go to 2 choices. Broadly, this is what. Let me just recap. I think there are solutions. There are already solutions to the paper. You can go through solutions. What is more important to understand on 25th November, when you actually get an IIFT paper, what is that you have to do? I have told you 3 roles very clearly: a CEO, a section manager, and a worker. As soon as you get the paper, first is spend around there about 5 minutes trying to figure out what the paper is. This is basically, so what I will want to do is, let's say there are 6 sections. This is what I want to do. I'll put QA, Bunjal, DILR, verbal, and GK. So it may be 6 sections. Maybe QA may be broken into 2 or DI may be broken into 2. I will first get a sense of how many marks and how many questions are there. Once I group this, and next thing is to figure out mota 115 minutes that I have. I basically will give about 10 minutes to GK. Because those are the questions either I know or not know. And then figure out broadly, maybe you want to give more time to quant or less time to verbal, whatever. But broadly figure out 25-35 minutes. That's your step number 1. As soon as you get the paper. And this is an important step. Don't miss this step. Okay. And once you have the sense, then once you enter a section, in the 35 minutes, maximize the score. The game plan is very, very simple. If I have to DILR have, if there are, let's say, in this paper there were 34 questions, what I did was to solve over 15 and hope that about 12 of them were right. So I'm trying to solve about 40% of the question. So that basically means that all the DI questions will not be able to solve, all the LR questions will not be able to solve. What I don't want you guys to do is to focus only on DI, focus only on LR. Your interest has to be only on the question. The question is easy, I will do. Whether it is DI, whether it is LR, I don't care. All I want is a question that is going to give me 1 mark. Okay. For your QA section, essentially what you guys have to do is this, is that once you glance the paper, you'll be able to know whether the paper is easy, difficult, very difficult. Then you get a set. Okay, here I should be able to do about 10 questions or so. In QA, what is very important, when you say this, what is very important, get a sense of what could be the likely kind of a cutoff, or likely good score. If you go by history, 8, 9, 10 is good enough in terms of attempts. But if the paper is easy, may the attempt will improve. Once you have the sense of this target, then the paper will not challenge you. The problem is you keep going through one question after one question, you find every question is very difficult, and then you lose hope, then you blame everything, you blame differentiation, integration, why all this, why should, so on and so forth. So what is important to understand, have this target in mind, and then you have given yourself 35 minutes for the section, and it's good enough time to do about 12 questions. A lot of time you have verbal, RC, 2 RC you pick, and don't go with any pre-decided, and solve everything, para jumble, try and solve as many questions as you can. when you go with, let's say, a 3-digit strategy, I will not solve any paradigm, but what is going to happen? You're forced to solve verbal questions, and those questions will also be forced to solve questions that are key. And it should be the broad game plan in terms of attacking the paper. One more thing that I like to mention is this: that when you're given one of the things that I would like to mention is this, that year after year, what we've also seen is that in the question paper, there are a lot of mistakes. And then if at all you find some question to be ambiguous, you're not able to understand, just quit. In all probability, there could be a mistake in this question. These are broad things. In the next 3-4 days, try and do a little bit of DI. Okay. In the sense is that minimal calculation broadly by looking at the graph, trying to figure out what answer is kind of a thing. Because preparing for math, I don't know whether it's going to help, but DI, I think that's a section which can really score. CS, GK, competent is enough. Basically, should be, I'm not getting the paper, I don't know. The GK section in IIFT has been all over the place. So we never know. But yes, if you are someone who is reading regularly, you should be able to handle it. Well, any questions you can just ask me, I will try and answer. I normally answer mail pretty fast. And last couple of weeks I could not answer a lot of mails, but I typically answer mails. So if you have any specific query, you can mail me. And the second, if you want to speak with me, you can call me on this number. The strategy for the last 2 days. There's no strategy for the last 2 days. But what is it that? Look at, let's say, what I would suggest is that look at some of the previous papers and see how we're going to plan the whole test. Have a lot of IIFT paper and get a planning in place. In the sense that in the first 5 minutes, what is that you going to do? I think that once you get a hang of that, there is not much you can do in the last 2 days. But what you can definitely do is get your strategy right. With that, that work. Should we solve 15 questions in VA? Because if VA has only 15 questions, so VA you can solve about 50-60% of the questions. What is going to happen is that there's one-term negative marking, and then in most of the cases you might not be sure of the answer. If you're not sure of the answer, please don't do it. Because you're dealing with a paper the cutoff is really low. So negative marking, in VA not be sure, then only mark the answer. Yeah, funda is that. Funda is a 50% in each section and broadly about 2 minutes per question. Somebody is asking me to solve 31st question. What is the 31st question? Should the difference in the marking affect your question choice? See, the marking thing is very complicated. This is Bhavya. Bhavya is asking me, should the differential marking scheme affect our question choice? See, marking scheme is too much, it is too complicated. What you can basically do is that 150% है, तो मैं 50% करूंगा. Automatically the marking scheme is taken care of. So what you essentially have to do is forget marking scheme, just go to the question. time. Make it as simple as possible. You have 2 hours. And eventually everything will even out. Ayush says, please tell us the pros and cons of reading questions first in RB. I don't like reading. I read questions first, but I will not read options. If you read options, you are dead. Because on 3 options are wrong, then you get confused. You can read the questions. The advantage of reading the question is to have a sense of what direct question hai kya, indirect hai kya, what karpa ho kya, that kind of a sense. So, it makes sense to read the question when you have to select 2 RC pages. No? Or we can basically do inky, pinky, ponky, organize, nonky, stick to and then. I'm missing calculators. I don't think calculators are allowed, Mudassir. I believe tomorrow there'll be the IIFT alumni are going to be there in the evening. That's a good session. Maybe you can give a little more insight. If you're free in the evening, you can attend those. That particular session. I might not be there too. I'm not so sure whether I'm there tomorrow, Mudassir. But what I would request is this, guys, is that there are a lot of specific queries that you might have on each of the questions. Can you just drop me a mail, please, at gdu@karimbabu.com. Tomorrow I'm basically free from morning till afternoon, so I can spend time in terms of replying to those mails. Any queries that you have, that's the problem that I will reply by afternoon. Okay. So I'm through, guys. 2 days. Question number 31 to 33. Which one is that? Okay, let me solve 31 to 33 here one. Share by post. So 31 to 33 is that input question. If you look at, I'm not writing smile, nile, style, mile. I'm basically going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what happened in step number 1, if you notice, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it became 9, 10, 7, 8. Then step 2, it became 9, 10. Step 2, that change happened in the beginning. So it basically became 3, 4, 1, 2. The rest all remained the same from the previous step. 9, 10, 7, 8. That was step 2. Step 3, the first 4 remained the same. The last 4 remained the same. The middle 2 changed. 3, 4, 1, 2. 6, 5. 9, 10. 7, 8. So that is your step 4. So then basically step 4 is basically 4, 3, 2, 1. This became 2, 1, 6, 5, 10, 9, and 8, 7. Each of these two got interchanged. And in step 5, it was 1, 2, 4, 3, 6, 5, 8, 7, and 10, 9. So that's how it went. So basically, if you look at input to this particular step, just look at only that. Sorry, this was 2, 1. This 1, 2 became 2, 1. 3, 4 became 4, 3. 5, 6 became 6, 5. 7, 8 became 8, 7. 9, 10 became 10, 9. What is going to happen is in step number 6, basically what you notice is the same story that continued. This is exactly what happened. If you notice this step sequence, what happened in step number 1 happened here. What happened step number 2 is going to happen 7. Basically what you notice in 10, like how from input to step number 5, the two letters got interchanged. On step 10, this is going to interchange. Each of these is going to get interchanged. 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10. So step 10 will be the same as the input. That's how I got it. 6, 7 is a different step. 6, 7 step is already given in the sheet. So I've not written it because step number 6 repeats with the step number 1. That's what happens in step number 6. And step number 7 is a step. When you say step, there are two things. One is the process that is being done, and the other thing is the number that is going to come. Surya says, I have high accuracy in RC, should allow 20 minutes and attempt 3 RCs and give lesser time to. Don't do that. Who asked the question? I missed you. Surya, you have high accuracy in RC, allowed 20 times in RC. Just don't do that. What you can basically do is that do everything normally, giving adequate time to verbal, and if any time remains at the end, then you can go back and do the RC one. Because doing one more RC is probably getting what? 3 more questions. You spend about 6 more minutes. 3 to 4 more questions, 6 more minutes. And then in 6 minutes, probably in verbal, you can do about 6 questions. Or maybe, I don't know, something like that. So, I'm not saying a strict no, but I'm look at the situation in hand. Question 82. Question 82 is a question. Question 82 basically says that if there is a threefold increase in all the sides of a cyclic quadrilateral, so cyclic quadrilateral is quadrilateral. Basically, what area of a cyclic quadrilateral is what happens to the area. Area of cyclic quadrilateral S minus A into S minus B into S minus C into S minus D. S is basically your partial perimeter. So when each of these sides is increased 3 times, what you notice, S will also increase 3 times. A will also increase 3 times. X minus A will also increase 3 times. So each of these terms is basically going to increase 3 times. Because it is under root, net increase is going to be 9 times. 9 times increase basically means 800% increase. That's the answer. So clear. Okay guys, I'm signing off. I'll wish you the best. I'll leave my email address. Where is it? And like I told you, there are a lot of specific queries that you might have, which I probably could not address your queries. Please write to me. I'll reply it before afternoon tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you guys.